everyone, Lorina Quigley here. I am changing the name of my podcast to the Mystical Medium Podcast, and part of the reason is because I was the Mystical Ex-Mormon, which was really fun, and I think I had to get that out of my system, and I want to do a little more. I've always done kind of a broad variety of videos centered around mysticism and a lot of my mystical experiences, and sharing with everybody how they too can have them, how to be more psychic, all these really fun things. Well, I think they're fun. Anyway, but there was I definitely had the ex-Mormon as part of it too. And I will still be doing some ex-Mormon content. But if I ever move back to Utah, which I'm thinking of doing one day, I don't want to offend everybody, not everyone, a great deal of the population there, because it's not my intent. I was raised Mormon. I love Mormons. The Mormon culture is a little crazy, especially in Utah. Just saying. But hey, it is what it is. And anyway, and I still know lots of Mormons. And I was never trying to offend any Mormons. That's not my intent. Just to give my experience and how I see it. And there's a lot of truth in there about the damaging effects of the Mormon culture and what it creates. I'll just leave it at that. So I'm the mystical medium. And I am a medium. I'm a psychic. I'm an energy healer and teacher, and I also do spiritual coaching. And I really enjoy all these things. So today I'm going to talk about, I think, some fun things. And I'm going to Sedona tomorrow. Yay! I'm here in Phoenix. It's really hot outside. I'm going to spend a couple of days in Sedona, which is just so nice to not be in 112-degree heat. It'll be like 98 degrees instead. So we'll be out and about hiking. And I did want to ask, has anybody been to the stupa in Sedona before that hears this? Because it is really quite a pretty cool mystical space. It's outdoors. It is a Tibetan stupa. I can't remember the exact name of it. You can look it up. Easy to get to. And I did have kind of a mystical healing experience from going to the stupa one day. What happened, I was there with my sister, we were hanging out. I didn't feel great. In fact, I felt kind of sick and was like, oh my God, am I gonna make it through this little break for this couple of days that I'm here? And we went to the stupa. Of course, it was really hot outside because it usually is. But you can do this walk around the stupa, and you do it, I think it's, if I remember correctly, it is clockwise around the stupa 3 times. And you sit and meditate and ask for what you desire. And I asked for healing, because man, I did not feel good. And they also have these prayer wheels. And you go around the prayer wheels, I believe there's 3 of them, and you turn them as you walk around. And the same thing, I was thinking, please, I need some healing. I need to feel better. And so I didn't feel better right away, but what we did was we went on a hike. We went to the airport loop. And again, we were doing, everything's clockwise motion. We did the clockwise around the airport loop. Now, airport loop is not an easy hike. It's not a hard hike. It's probably would be consider it a moderate hike. And I was not feeling good, wondering if I'm going to be able to finish this hike. And about a quarter of the way through this hike, going clockwise around the mountain, whatever that was hanging in my energy field just started lifting, and it pretty quickly. And I was able to finish the whole hike. I can't remember how far it is, the hike itself, but I was able to finish the hike, get through it, and really felt, so much better that the rest of my trip in Sedona this is about 2 years ago, was amazing. So, miraculous healing. Was it from the stupa? I don't know, but I asked for healing when I was at the stupa. So I just wanted to share that. Have you guys experienced anything there who've been there at the stupa? That was my experience. All right, so, and it's beautiful. This little structure is really, really beautiful. Anyway, so what I wanted to share, another thing, just to remember to write your experiences down. I tell this to people in my class. Please write things down that you've experienced, whether if it's psychic, if it's astral projection, if it's dreams that seem significant. Sometimes even things that don't seem significant. Write it down. Write down your experiences when it comes to anything mystical. Now, this is my old notebook. Look at that. Wow. 3 for $1. This is when I was living in New York, so I think the first entry is probably 2003 or something, 2004. And I started writing down all my experiences right at that time period. I had some amazing experiences that I forgot about, totally forgot about. I went through this thing and really started looking at everything in here. A lot of astral projection stuff, but not, if it were like the bigger astral projection trips that I for sure will remember, that's just gonna stay in my consciousness. But the smaller ones, I popped out of my bed and I was up at the ceiling, and then I popped back in, or I was halfway out of my body and I got stuck, or or I was, just these really simple, more simple astral projection experiences that are not as profound. I forgot. I totally forgot. So it's like, oh my God, I've astral projected much more than I remember, and I wouldn't remember if I didn't write it down. So please write things down. And I also had this one experience that I forgot about till I read it, but I'm sure I would have remembered it at some point because it was a profound experience. I was having a dream. See, dreams, write your dreams down too. If sometimes they seem really important, sometimes they don't. You get to decide if you're going to write it down or not, or how important it is to you. But I was dreaming, and I saw somebody. There was suddenly this green book. This green book in a bucket. The bucket, and it was at the door. It was a bucket of money, and it was green. And I held it, and I flipped it open. And as I was flipping it open, it was green with gold writing. I started getting this download of images. Now these images came in so fast that it was like, and I literally felt it like, like stuff coming in, kind of almost hitting my third eye or my consciousness here, where I was seeing things. There were these letters, and it looked like some sort of ancient writing, and they were in squares, and a lot of them, so it was cube shaped, and there was writing on the inside of each of the cubes, and then there was little smaller ones below it. When I got up out of bed, I wrote everything down as quickly as I could because I wanted to remember it. I'm glad I did. But I still haven't gotten more information about that, and that was probably 2004. But this was significant. I was receiving codes and symbols, and this was a download coming through my head into my consciousness. So, and I would have forgotten about it. Well, like I said, I probably would have remembered it at some point, but I wrote it down, and when I look through this, it's like, oh yeah, that was really significant. So please remember to write stuff down. It's important, really important. And at that time period, I had a lot of really interesting experiences. I was trying to astral project a lot, so I tell people, if you can, explore astral projection, because I think it really opens you up psychically. It opens up, I think it kind of loosens up your astral body and kind of brings more awareness and consciousness to your astral body so that you can have more experiences like this. Kind of just, you can have more mystical experiences. I think it really opens it up. I do. And it's been my experience. So please do that. All right. Now, next subject. Okay. So I think you'll enjoy this subject, and I wrote everything down because I don't want to forget anything here. And we kind of touched on this in my last video about consciousness and reality creation and thoughts. And are we in a hologram? Is it a simulation? And those thoughts get projected into reality, and that's what we experience. And I did see this actually happening through some breath work. So again, do breath work. Yeah. Anyway, you can watch my last video. And I did say that I called something the Maharic Shield, and that is not what it was. It's the Merkaba. I was doing a Merkaba video. Maharic Shield, that comes from a different thing that I learned a long time ago. It was part of a New Age cult, but it is very possible that the Maharic Seal is real. I just want to say that. Any KSers, if you hear this video, you can let me know what you think. All right. Anyway, yes, do our thoughts create reality? When I learned hypnosis, when I really started studying it, it was around, I think, 2003, 2004, something like that. Got heavily into it. They had a little thing that it said, thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. So thoughts are things. They start creating your reality. In the Hermetic tradition, everything exists on a mental plane. And so what you think creates your reality around you, creates or maybe informs, however you want to put it. But what can happen with your thoughts, especially if we have a lot of obsessive thoughts or we can't control our thoughts. And in modern day society, I think very few people believe that you can control your thoughts. Well, you can get control of your thoughts. Sometimes we just have a loop, and this is consciousness work trying to create, to control your thoughts. Sort of like trying to control your emotions. Well, you can do that too. It's not easy. It takes work. I once told a triple Cancer, and I'm a Capricorn, okay. I told a triple Cancer in one of my astrology classes that she could actually control her emotions, and she looked at me like I had 3 heads. I'm like, no, really, you can't. But that's very Capricorn of me to think something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so thoughts are things. So we can take this to the extreme form of creating your reality, where you create thought forms which can become egregores and also tulpas, which are kind of the same thing. But egregores are usually a little more unconscious. And so what is an egregore? And Kimmy and I have done a video about egregores. So these are thought forms that you create, which can actually play havoc in your life, because it's something that you think about so much that you create this energy thought form that appears to have a life of its own. And I have told this story where I did do energy healing on this guy who was having this really messed up sexual relationship with this woman that was his underling at work, and they should not have, he should not have been doing this. He got caught up in it. She became obsessed, so it became this weird obsessive relationship. He couldn't stay away, so there was a lot of this obsessive sexual energy that was being put in this. There was also a lot of guilt. There was all these other emotions that were playing into this. What started happening is he created an egregore that was in the bottom part of his, like almost where you would be pregnant, but this is a guy, so so what I pulled out of him was this distorted, ugly looking baby thing that looked like it had a life of its own. It looked alive. They were feeding it continually. and he was feeding it with his desire, her obsession, the sex, because sex is a powerful energy. So they were continually adding to this thing, pulled it out of him. It was like, oh my God, this is not a good energy. Let's get rid of it, get rid of those thought form, that gigantic thought form that's being created and creating havoc in your life. Let's move it out. I can't remember exactly how I did this. This was a while ago. That is an egregore. That is a really good example of what an egregore is. Tulpas are created thought forms that are much more planned, created for a purpose, with a lot of thought and energy going into the thing to sometimes to actually serve a purpose that is very specific. Now, if you study Tibetan culture, you'll find information about this. And yeah, from what I hear, it's real. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about that because I want to talk about this book. This is a really fun book. It is called An Unlikely Prophet, a metaphysical memoir by the legendary writer of Superman and Batman by Alvin Schwartz. Let's show it one more time. It's a really fun read. Anyway, this is a book about him encountering a tulpa and him informing him of how he came to be, and he needed help from this guy. So this guy helped write Batman, not the original Batman. He was not the creator, but at some point he took over the writing of Batman and the stories. Not Batman, yeah, Superman and Batman. But I'm talking about, in this story, is Superman, and this story is a lot about Superman. And with his thoughts creating this tulpa of Superman that is very specific in a particular way that's a little different than original Superman. Anyway, and Superman is very powerful, and it's a really fun read about how Superman is created and how he helps him in his life. And when he writes, he even tries to write certain stories about Superman, but Superman won't let him. So he really takes on a life of his own. And according to the story, and the tulpa that he meets tells him it's quite real, that he is connected to Superman and he has created him. And that he indeed has superpowers. And these creations can take physical form. They can be that much thought generated into a thought form purposely, with thought, with energy. And I don't know the practices that they do to create that. I haven't studied it, okay? But I wanted to say that it's really interesting. So you might want to enjoy reading that, but also to really consider how much energy our thoughts have and our belief systems and what they create around us. Because there's more power in that than you realize, that all of us realize. And also there is a collective thought forms too that we adopt, take on, live. Our identities, what we think we are associated with these thought forms that we live and have power. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. And then I wanted to lead into Richard Bartlett. My old, well, he's passed not too long ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. One of my teachers, Richard Bartlett, Matrix Energetics. Brilliant guy, really fun. I did a lot of workshops with him, and everybody loved working with Richard Bartlett. At some point, there were about probably 500 people at his workshops in a big giant room, all doing this Matrix Energetics, which had a magical quality to it. Well, part of the reason why Matrix Energetics started was because I think he was a chiropractor and a naturopath. So at some point, I think that maybe he was a chiropractor and going to naturopathic school when all these mystical experiences started happening to him. And he was working on some girl that day. I think this is when he was a chiropractor. He was super tired, probably saw 13 people that day, exhausted, and just wanted the family to go away because he was exhausted. And this girl had, and if I'm getting the story wrong, if there's any matrix energetics people out there, who please tell me and straighten me up. But this is what I remember, and I could read the book again if I wanted to, because this is in his book, his first book, Matrix Energetics. What happens is he's seeing this girl, and she has some sort of vision problem. I believe that she is blind. She cannot see. And he is so tired he doesn't care anymore. But what happens when he's looking at the girl, he sees Superman. Like he gets a vision of Superman coming into the room, looking at this girl with his X-ray vision. Superman had X-ray vision. He's seeing this blockage in the eye area. He blasts it with his with this X-ray vision, and it goes away. I mean, it dissolves, this blockage. He sees a literal blockage somewhere in the visual cortex. I don't know if that's what he called it, that is blocking her being able to see. And there's more to the story than that, but this girl, I think she's about 10 or something, can see. She can literally see again. And this is when Superman shows up and starts helping him do healings, and he becomes really well known at this point because a miracle happened. This girl could suddenly see. And he does get the backstory of how this girl became blind and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's a Superman story. Now, is it the same Superman? Is this a Superman Tulpa who's going around helping people heal? And he just happens to be around and sees Richard Bartlett. He needs some help. Superman can help. And Richard Bartlett did work with morphic fields. What are morphic fields? Morphic fields are energy constructs that contain a particular energy that you can access and utilize to bring in to situations to help you heal, have clarity, whatever you happen to need. You can use those morphic fields to be more like or access that energy and help you shift and change into the way that you want. What do you think about that? Has anybody here worked with Superman? I have not personally worked with Superman, but anyway, and in this book again, this really fun read, he talks about running into this Hawaiian shaman, a kahuna, who recognizes this guy, Alvin Schwartz, in Hawaii, and saying, oh no, hey, you have Superman with you. He knew that Superman was his helper and told him a story about Superman helping him, as this Tulpa, helping him stop some volcanic activity in the Hawaiian Islands. True, not true? I don't know. It's pretty interesting. So again, this is the power of thoughts. You know, so really give it some consideration. When we all get stuck in stuff, but what thoughts are you getting stuck in and recirculating and cycling, and so you're continually creating this reality that you either want or do not want. It's pretty interesting stuff. So just something up for consideration, truly. Yeah, what do you think about that? Anyway, it's all fun stuff. So focus on, if you can focus on what you want to create and what that reality looks like, bring that energy in, focusing in on it and feel it. Access the morphic field of what you want, feel it. Use your thoughts around creating that reality, what it feels like, what it looks like, seeing it shift and change, this kind of thing, so that you can really have more control over your thoughts, over your reality. And in modern day society, there are so many distractions. Oh my God. And I think it's getting more and more kind of complex and divisive, and not just divisive, but there's so many things to focus on that actually is not helping you. So if you can find a way to stop, get quiet, get centered, be in the space of, oh, what am I creating? What kind of energy am I creating with my thoughts, with my actions, with what I'm doing daily, what I'm feeding myself energetically? That may be food-wise, because that's important, but also energetically, that I'm putting into my field that might be actually affecting my reality. So if you can get more focused on what you want, use your thoughts in a way that you want so that you can shift what you want and bring that into the now. The now. Take action towards the things that you want and change things. It all starts from your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think about that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Lorina Quigley. I had to write this down, the Mystical Medium podcast. And I do appointments remotely or in person for readings or healings, and I also teach. And I'm soon going to be teaching online too, through Zoom, if anyone's interested in that. And I teach all sorts of, I teach energy healing, I teach psychic development, mediumship, and various fun things that I've taught also, various other things, because one day I'm going to go through the list of everything that I've studied. It's quite vast. Anyway, I don't know if anyone will find that interesting, but it might be fun to talk about. All right, have a great day, everybody. I hope you like this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Bye.